Hello, this is Lindsay Huddleston back with you from Sports Psychology Solutions. Really excited about the information I'll be sharing today and in the days to come. I've been very fortunate to be able to share my message on many platforms, but I want to be able to create some content for those of you who are seeking an opportunity to constantly improve yourself. The work I'll be doing through my coaches discussion and coaches culture upcoming podcast will focus on one being a professional development opportunity for people to better develop with the information I'll share based on research-based information, as well as my travels in the sporting community on all levels, from the professional to amateur level, but also a public service announcement because there are some serious messages that need to be shared regarding the growth of sport in 2018 and beyond. And I'm very fortunate to be a part of many of these discussions, able to give input, but also receive information that I can share. So the goal is to be a reservoir of knowledge based on the information I share and the individuals I come in contact with. Many of the things I'll be discussing will be based around a great study that you hear me referring to called the State of Play, Southeast Michigan, Analysis and Recommendations. And this was put on by the Aspen Institute, Reimagining Youth Sports in America. It's been a great collection of leaders in both the sport community, uh, in all realms of leadership coming together to figure out the best things. And quickly, I'll talk about this unique study that was done in the southeastern Michigan region, about 7 counties down in the Metro Detroit area. And after this research was done over a course of time, the grade that was received and shared with individuals who took the study was a C plus grade was given for those who were as far as what young people felt about the quality of their sport experience, what young people felt about the quality of their sport experience. Now, C plus, I think that means there's huge room for growth, and I'm happy to be part of a work study group that's going to be tackling that issue. But along with that, my personal passion is to help people to be able to improve. So my topic for today, as you may see in the notes, is as a coach, are you evolving or devolving? As a coach, are you evolving and devolving? And I'll say this once at the beginning and possibly at the end. This information is not sport specific. Though sport is the way we can relate this information, basket scores, football run score, etc., this is something that is universal for all aspects of life, but we just put it in a sport context. So when I talk about a coach, not only am I talking about a head coach, an assistant coach, or someone who's helping and developing young people, but also a leader, whether you're a leader in the classroom, a leader at your organization, when I say that. So going back to that comment, are you evolving or devolving? Now, evolution, as we all know, is talking about growth and going forward and moving on. So I guess to say devolve would be the exact opposite of that. But I thought the definition for devolving was really interesting because it talks about a lower of, let me get this right, a lowering of effective power. A lowering of effective power. So many times people say if you're not growing, you're dying. So if you're not evolving, you're devolving. So you're lowering your effective power. So for any coach who has a plan to coach tomorrow, next week, next month, and the years beyond, God willing, I think it's very important that you adapt a evolutionary mindset, meaning that what am I adding to my repertoire? What am I adding to my skill set? What other information am I getting? One thing I find, coaches are a very vulnerable group of individuals. They fall under the stepchildren of sports, along with officials as well, because everybody wants everything from a coach, but they only want it when they want it, and they only want to be supportive of you during the good times and not necessarily the bad times. And as we all know, if you're going to be a great coach, you've experienced a lot of bad times. So with that being said, what I want to do is create an atmosphere here when you log in that you can get information that can help you with the evolutionary process. And I think part of that is saying, what new skills am I acquiring? But before you begin to acquire a new skill in earnest, but before you begin to acquire a new skill and genuinely go after it, are you comfortable enough to say that there's some things that I need to learn more about? I think it's fair to say we're all in a position to gain more, but it's really tough because I think coaches get a lot of scrutiny that's similar to what players get, but on a different level. Because with the coach, we just saw in the Detroit area there were some changes with the coaching staff at a popular Renaissance High School. Vito Jordan, a young man, I know him. I've interviewed him. You can find our interviews on Sports Psych Solutions on YouTube. But there was a lot of, interest in what's going on with this coaching position. And I think that really brings a great discussion at hand. How are we evolving as coaches? What new skills are we adding? How do we put ourselves in a position, and me not knowing the intricate details of what happened with Coach Jordan at Renaissance, but how are we putting ourselves in a position where the removal of a coach is, without question, not something that's going to happen based on the things that you've done? And again, I just use this as a fresh on the headlines, report to refer to. But how are you evolving? What do you have on your checklist as far as things that you're going to work on and new skills that you're going to acquire? What have you done, or what are you pursuing that's going to help you 1 year from now, 2 years from now, and beyond? What are the tendencies and the trends that you are watching that you need to focus on? One key thing is the way coaches are communicating to this generation of athletes. I often say we come from a fire and brimstone type coaching style, where the coaches were able to yell, kick, scream, and do things beyond what we would say beyond reproach now, but they were acceptable during that time. However, someone made a very good point to me, and many times the coaches would yell and scream, but were they being effective in actually teaching? I think many times we talk about young people not having a certain skill set, and we know there are a number of reasons that apply to that. Now, with esports being, the rage, kids spend more time behind the computer screen playing a video game than they may outside in the park. We just know that's a reality. But as coaches, are we evolving to understand that concept? And also introducing the principles of mindfulness, which I discuss a great deal. Are we being, one, present enough to be able to entertain what they're doing? And secondly, being non-judgmental. Are we not putting our cultural values that we experience as a player coming up against these young people and what they're experiencing too? So that needs to be part of the evolution as well. And many times we're able to point at a young person and say, well, you're the problem. But are we looking in the mirror as coaches and saying, well, what things can I work on? And that's really tough. Now, I really want to acknowledge that. That's really tough for someone who is to be the leader and to be out front and to have to take so much and give so much and have so much of their time committed, but to also make themselves vulnerable enough to be open to change. And then when you make yourself vulnerable, what are you setting yourself up for? When you become vulnerable, are you vulnerable for losing that role because someone else wants that spot because it looks good when the team is winning? So that's a tough thing. But I challenge all my coaches to be of the mindset that if you don't start acquiring new additional skills to help you going forward, you put yourself in a position where people can say, what have you done for me lately? And you won't be able to move forward. Now, when I talk about acquiring new skills, the study was really good in talking about approximately 6 or so skills that a coach can acquire. And I'll just touch on these, and these are things we can follow up. Percentage of parent coaches with formal training and education. Now, this is in the southeastern Michigan region, Metro Detroit and beyond, but I'm pretty sure that these have some relevance throughout the state, throughout the region, throughout the country, if not globally. CPR and basic first aid, sports skills and tactics, physical conditioning, general safety and injury prevention, concussion management, which is used not just in football but in other sports, and effective motivational techniques. So those are the 6 areas that we probably can talk about as far as where there's growth, but effective motivational techniques really stands out the most. Because in many cases, if we push a kid, we feel we can get the most out of them. But we know now with this generation of athletes, many of those young people will shut down. So those are some of the things that we're going to explore. I hope this was enough to kind of get you thinking, where am I at right now and my process of gaining more information. And I think the inevitable is such that if you're not evolving as a coach, then you're devolving. So with that, I just want to share some thoughts. I plan on following up soon, not only with just myself and my voice, but numerous other individuals who will be able to bring some great resources to bear, as well as some thought-provoking things that can help us all move forward. So with that, this is Lindsay, Huddleston, Sports Psychology Solutions. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully this will continue to be a beneficial resource to you. Thank you for that, and have a great day.